Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today I'm Bancroft and being joined once again by Austin and like always, Fluff.
What up?
What's up, people?
And today is round 2 of our Great British Cook-Off. We see that Austin, you have brought some kind of pickle dish, seems pretty delicious, but I'm not a big fan of pickles. And Fluff, you seem to bring some kind of exotic dish.
Black pudding.
Black pudding, fair enough. Have you actually ever had black pudding?
I have. It's unappetizing.
Yeah,
I would assume so.
I was gonna move straight with the
Not
video. You know, I mean, we don't.
Yeah.
That's. I'm sorry. With that being said, there are buttons. Please click them if you like. That's all you're gonna get from me on that, guys. Take it away and don't forget to go over your decks.
So we've got Syn Shenron and we've got King Piccolo. I was actually kind of worried about your ability to push really hard. My King Piccolo experience has been extremely limited and been vastly. I've played it a few times on Untap, and I've got my own list that I played. So I was excited to see how you played this. You've gotten a ton of praise for King Piccolo around the shop, and I was excited to finally play it.
Yeah, because this is the first match you and I have had in a very long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Aside from the break I took, it was like months even before that.
Yeah, it seems like you're one of the people that I just very infrequently get paired with in rounds.
Yeah, it's either like we'll have one off camera like every now and again, and then we'll only have one on camera for like a year.
So this is a treat. Turn 1, Syn Shenron, very standard charge ball. Your turn 1, you play the piano, you get your swing in, you get a flip.
It's Billy Joel, sir.
Oh, it's Billy Joel. Oh, Piano Man. Oh,
Yeah.
See, I like it. Who is what is it? It's piano, drum, and tambourine.
Yeah.
Drum has to be Nilpert.
And then we have Symbol also.
I'll figure out who's like a good symbolist. So
Yeah, I just knew the Piano Man, so I was like, cool, Billy Joel. This is just like the one drop Red Frieza for my cooler decks, Dr. Robotnik. I gotta name my one drops.
So I knew that you gained a lot of advantage off of swinging, being able to add a card from life to or flip a card and do the things. So I want to utilize the 4-drops in Shenron to stop that as much as humanly possible.
And it really messed me up. Like, I didn't realize how bad it would mess me up until like a little further on the game where we talked about it, like where we said like that was one of the most like frustrating things in the match to go against was my leader being locked down, and it was really good. Like, the last time I played against Syn Shenron was in set 10, because I think I played against someone who had like a list in set 11, but it wasn't that great. It was just kind of like with trying to do set 11 stuff.
Syn Shenron was really good in set 10, and in set 11 it just did not shine. It was not great by comparison. So I really wanted to give it a go. Set 12, we have all the Shadow Dragons. And I've been extremely satisfied with how it's going. And that 4-drop Syn Shenron is so good by comparison.
It's so good.
To even the stuff that's come out in set 12. And that 4-drop in a lot of ways is more punishing than that 9-drop.
Because it also depends on the leader, because it can stop a lot of leader effects like King Piccolo. It's so oppressive to King Piccolo because there's really no other way to keep your life face up without using your leader swing.
The meta has devolved into this thing into a leader heavy format where leaders often do a vast majority of the work as far as like getting your engine set up and getting going.
Yeah.
And there's a few like Syn Shenron that search for specific key pieces, but then you look at stuff like King Piccolo or SS4 Vegeta or Dark Broly or even Red Broly, where the leader is so integral to the core function, or Turles, where they're so core functionally surrounded around their leader.
Like with King Piccolo, you have some options, with the Attack of the Demon Clan. And then you have the promo card where King Piccolo's like wishing on the Dragon Balls, that help you get a little extra like your units out without relying on King Piccolo himself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't run those cards, like I don't have the promos yet, but if you don't run those, you literally only rely on your activate battle from your leader. And while that's not terrible, it's just it kind of slows the deck down a little bit.
Yeah, and losing that ability to do it on your turn basically halves the speed at which you're able to awaken.
Oh yeah, because the only card that can keep like cards face up in my life, King Piccolo, is the leader swing. Because I was looking at all the cards and I was like, there are cards that like do it, but then I have to automatically combo with them. Like I don't get this pause. You know, I can't awaken and that. You know, it's like another auto triggers that lets me do that because I can't interrupt that auto with awaken. So
yeah, absolutely.
It really changes this, and it also piano is so great as a turn one. It's my favorite turn one with this deck just because you get to draw so much. And as you see, I get taken down to 2 life really quick. Well, you know, King Piccolo does have 6 life. This is just still terrifying because I had a match that night where I didn't get below 6 life. And then I had this match where I just got like destroyed real quick because I was really heavily locked down by those 4-drop Syn Shenrons, and had to get down to 2 life to awaken at all, which is not ideal. Like, you do not want to get down to 2 life, really, with King Piccolo against a deck like this, where it can just stall you out so much. If it's a more aggressive deck, like, say, against Broly BR, you read Broly BR, you can handle a little slugfest and waking like that, you know, if you know you got the turn next time. But
right, you can actually hang with that aggro, but once the control, because now that I've really done the control part of what the deck wants to do, it's really just me putting out 15Ks and trying to manipulate the field the best I can, put on a little bit of pressure. But you see here that I'm just struggling to. I was able to easily get you down to 2, and that was the easy part. Now comes the hard part of getting you down the rest of the way because your hand got kind of full off of taking your life, and Activate Main is going to allow you to, or Activate Battle lets you gather advantage where you get to, you know, pick cards up from your life, put cards back down, and it really just gives you an ability to kind of trigger the things that you want to do. I don't know how crazy offensive you're going to go here, so I didn't want to invest too terribly heavy. I only have 4 cards in my hand, so I didn't want to overcommit to the field that turn.
Mm-hmm. And I meant to mention this earlier, but I never charge red-green in this deck ever. But because the second I saw the second Shadow Star Ball come down for Syn Shenron, I was like, he's going to do it again. I need to play different. I was like, this is not good. And I don't have any interrupts, like, because I think he's like, what, 1900, the 4-drop?
He is a 1900.
Yeah, it's like even with the if I had a Unison on board and I had the Yamcha, you know, free counterplay, it wouldn't do anything. And
he's still going to stick around. He's going to get his ability. And you know, really, Red's not playing Denial of Hope right now. You know, Denial of Hope, I think, is still a really good choice for a lot of Red decks. They've just come off of it. Mm-hmm. So since a lot of Red decks have come off of it, cards like Black Mass Saiyan, this Shenron, and a few other choice cards like your Red-Green Piccolo are just all, and Combo Apes are just all the better in the format because of it.
One thing, and right here at Topo, and just to try to get some survivability, and one thing, though, that I think if, you know, for like side deck, I would put Denial of Hope in this for more control matchups. Because if you're going aggro, Denial of Hope is terrible with King Piccolo because you're just slugging. You know, you're just hitting each other back and forth. Because I don't personally care about Black Mass Saiyan that much with King Piccolo because the deck draws so much. They're okay, I'm going to combo, you know, for my life to play drum and then minus like 10k ignoring barrier the Black Mass Saiyan, you know.
Yep.
And I pitch 2 cards. It's not a big deal. It's amazing to get that out of the way. So I've never with this deck had an issue with Black Mass Sand. Because even if there's multiple, I would I would stage swing, after image one, and then a combo for the drum the other one. With red, you have a lot of options if they don't swing with their BMS first.
Oh yeah, BMS is so squishy against red. It doesn't stick on wrong. And we've got a lot of black running rampant in our current version of the meta at the shop, and everyone drops Black Mass Sand against Shenron. And I'm like, okay, all that does is push me off of dropping the 4-drop for one turn.
Yeah, it doesn't help too much.
Or I actually like some of the dragons in the drop area, so I will get the drop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because it doesn't hurt me that much to discard like a Naturon and a Haze, or a Naturon and a Nova, or a Naturon and an Ice. Like, it doesn't affect me all that much to do it.
Yeah.
This last turn for me was just a setup turn. You topoed. My hand is like Shenron light right now, and the cards that are in my hand I know could potentially be valuable towards closing this game out. Yeah. So I didn't want to push that. So I decided to end with a blocker, with the 2 blockers, the Syn Shenron. So if you tried to play like the 2-drop Piccolo and could negate his skills, or if you tried to tap 4 for something else that might become problematic, like the 4-drop King Piccolo, and try to set up to play your 6-drop, I knew that I would be able to stop and disrupt that card. I may not be able to prevent you from doing it, period, but I can keep you off of it.
Yeah.
This turn.
So right here, your 9-drop Syn Shenron, I forgot that we talked about it, the auto effects still go off.
Yeah.
So, I kind of misplayed here a little bit, just because I really didn't know what your deck did that much. I had played against Syn Shenron like almost a year ago at this point, And
Syn has a lot going for it too.
Mm-hmm.
It puts out a lot of cards that have near walls of texts on them.
Yeah.
So people are constantly, like, turn by turn, asking me what each dragon does, and I think I play it this game, but the Omega Shenron, the 8-drop from set 12, his effect can change turn to turn, and unless the opponent is tracking what I choose to warp from the drop barrier with him, his effects will catch people. One of my favorite things to do is to have a Naturon on the field, a Naturon in the drop, play that Omega, warp the Naturon, and then I have 2 battle card taps during my opponent's turn, and they don't realize it.
And right there, like earlier, you noticed, like you mentioned, like, hey, no, you explained to me how that works, because I played the 1-drop, the Obsession, to try and okay, it's probably a once per turn effect, so I'm gonna get that once per turn effect, by playing this and get rid of it,
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, you don't need to do that. I'm like, wow, I just wasted an energy because I did not get anything I needed from that 1-drop. It was literally only to try to get around that effect.
The 9-drop Syn Shenron is probably a little overtuned. That probably should be a optional once per turn effect that you can only resolve once per turn. It is probably a little overtuned in that aspect. Like, it probably should not be recurrent, but the big thing behind it would be that the on-play autos still resolve. So you don't lose those. You just lose like the double strikes or the triple strikes, activate main, double attacks. You were able to get rid of my 4-drop, which lets me draw a card and reset up a 1-drop, which will let me keep your leader tapped down again.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed I messed up here was I got rid of the Napa Super Combo and put it in the drop area because I was just so heavily trying to figure out how to claw my way out of this pit. Because what this is like a pit right here. Like, I am just so anxious, and I'm trying. I was like, you know what? Maybe I can get through some stuff. I was like, he probably has something. I see a Nimbus in your hand. I was waiting for a Nimbus at some point, and I didn't realize that effect too. Like, when I messed up, you had Revenge. I was like, oh crap! I should not have done that double strike attacker there. Then I was just trying to get around so much and trying to figure out what to do. That I kind of I squirmed around quite a bit, but I tried to play the best of what I had. And
you have to play through that Syn Shenron. You have to play through those effects. Unless you have a field wipe ability, you just have to do it. There's not really an option to that. You just have to get through it. And, kudos to you. You were able to remove the 4. You were able to remove the 9, which is going to cost me energy on my next turn to reset those. And with any luck on your end, I don't have a 9 to recover from in my hand. Like the 4 I can play from deck, but I need the 9 in hand to be able to.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And then right there I messed up because I was like, you know what? I need to find some cards. So if I combo with this, I can just, I can just draw a card. Doesn't matter if I have a unison in play. Then like, crap, I forgot you need a unison in play. Like, my brain was so stressed out at this point in this match that I'm just like making misplays and stressed out like in a good way. Not like I was like panicking. Like whenever I play against decks like this that you play against, I'm never like, oh my gosh, this is like so unfair. I'm so stressed out. I'm like, I want to win because I get really competitive, I'm like, this is a really good match. Like I want to play good so I can like have a better match,
People were actually watching this match as we were playing. And a lot of people when this match ended were like, oh, okay, so that was the final round. And everyone was like, no, this is not the final round. And they're like, damn, that seemed like a finals type of match. Like you both were playing on all cylinders and kind of keeping it. And this was a really intense type of game, and we don't oftentimes get to play like this.
Yeah, that's what I was so excited about. Like I was never frustrated in this match at all. Like I love when a match is good and I have a match where I just want to do better and I'm not like frustrated. I'm not stressed out. I'm like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. And I'm thinking a whole lot and I'm trying to think of all the possibilities I can do. That's also why I love this deck. There's a lot of thinking involved with King Piccolo and a lot of things you can do and a lot of sequencing involved.
King Piccolo is overwhelming in sequencing.
Yeah.
When I've played with it before, it was like, okay, there's a lot of possibilities and there's a lot of branching trees that happen while playing this deck. I think I played it against Nick and I was like, I don't even know if what I'm doing is good or bad, but I am doing, and I ended up winning the match. And it was just good in that respect.
Yeah.
Here I could try to clear your field off. The problem is that each of your battle cards that are currently on the field are higher in battle power than mine. So I'm going to have to sacrifice combo power to try to get rid of them. So instead of trying to wear out your battle power or wear out your battle cards, I'm going to just go for game as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to push you into a win position. This is turn 5 now. I can play Xenocell if I find him. I can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. I know earlier on you did burst Xenocell because we were like, I think it was like turn 2 or 3 you bursted him.
Yeah, I bursted Xenocell in 2 of my 3 games on Saturday.
Oh.
And it's just it's the way that it works. Luckily, this deck is not reliant on Xenocell. It just kind of makes that last turn a smidge easier. I'm able to play out the Omega Shenron here. And what I'm trying to prepare for is in the event that you're able to survive this turn, like if you drop a Violent Ray on me, I know it's going to be impossible for me to kill you. So what I'm trying to plan for is next turn tapping 6 and playing out all my dragons. So this turn is just me setting that up.
You see, Violent Rays would be smart for me to have in this deck, but I don't have it in there because I don't own any. Like we said before, I have a really big issue with the card prices right now, and I was going to buy some back when they're like $15. So if I'm going to add Violent Rays, I'll definitely have to borrow them because I'm not paying that exorbitant price.
I think it's worth it to attempt to get them. Definitely not at this price. I don't think they're worth it at this price.
No.
And it's a card that, Bandai should not have printed a generically good extra card at just an SR slot without giving it an SPR. And that gives me a lot of hope for set 13 because a lot of the generically good SR cards also have SPR arts.
Yeah.
So they will be widely available, they'll be inexpensive, they'll be easy for everyone to get. Whereas you look at stuff like Dormant Potential and Violent Ray, they're only expensive because they were only in the SR, and in a case you might only get 2.
Yeah, like Violent Rays, I'd be perfectly fine paying like $20 with. And honestly, same with Dorm Potential. I think they are like $20 to $25 worthy cards, you know? But they're not worth like the 75, 60, 80, whatever they are now.
Yeah, no, they're not worth that. You know,
No. It's
$30. Here, I decided to jump ship on the tap 6 next turn, and I want to go into the triple strike. I either need to bait out, you're tapped out, so you're going to have to strike a life if you want to play through this. So I decided to just go for it. I've got a pretty wide field. Everything will restand. I don't think that I have a blocker here. So it's just go in big and hope I can make you die, you know.
And it's funny because Trevor was sitting next to me, and when you dropped that Syn Shenron triple striker, I looked at Trevor. I was like, he literally showed me this card right before the match because he was talking about it, and I already forgot about it. And he played it.
Dude, it comes out of nowhere for one energy, and you just have to have 7 Shadow Dragons in the drop area to warp. Yeah. So it's really good. I think you were able to combo out of it.
I did, yeah. And that's why I love King Piccolo, because the cards I run, the only 1+10,000s are the Champa Beerus and the Piccolo Juniors. And that's it. It's so nice. Like, everything's 0+5,000, or like I can use like another way to play it, you know, like Wolfang Fist if I have a Unison out, you know, like with the 2 markers, you know, like all that I can play it, you know, if it's red. With you know, After Image I can take a life, you know, do sparking. Like there's just so many good things, like the free stuff you can get. And that's why I really like this deck, because a lot of the decks I played, I'm like, man, somehow I played multicolor so much with Cooler. I was like, I have no combo power.
You know, when you and I were talking back before set 12 came out, and I think you were still on Cooler really hard. And you were like, yeah, I feel like I'm getting burnt out. I'm having a lot of trouble staying into the game. I really love Cooler, but it's just not as good as it was. You know, I don't know what to do. And I was like, dude, King Piccolo is going to be so good and so fun. And I'm glad that you took that advice and gave the deck out, because I think you tested it on Untap and you were like, dude, I love that deck.
Yeah, when I tested it on Untap, and I was like, this is interesting. I could see a lot of depth to this. I want to play it. But real quick, I did want to mention, I said, like, I noticed this big misplay. I did not need to play that Unison. I was trying to give myself another life. Once again, I forgot you have a triple striker. I was literally only thinking of the double striker, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I can make it through a couple attacks. This is fine. You're like, triple strike. I was like, I forgot about the triple strike. And so that was just another misplay. That rejuvenation did not need to happen. But then I forgot that you could rest the you rested the Piccolo Jr. from the which card again?
It's on the Omega, because I warped the Naturon Shenron.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Oh yeah.
You blew up the Natron when you played your Unison, and I used the Natron's effect to tap the Unison because it was dying anyway. So that was what I was talking about, like that Omega, the blue one there, the one from set 12.
Yeah. People
actually forget, you know, that he absorbs an effect and that he has a varying effect every turn, and it's not the same. And that effect lasts until, like, if I activated my turn, it lasts until the end of your turn.
I got a
so
quick
if I give it
question.
barrier blocker, it's a barrier blocker for the, you know, my turn and yours. What's up?
All right, so the 9-drop you got, is that the one that negates skills?
Not on the field, no.
Okay, so you swung with Piccolo Jr. What happened there?
I played him, and then he tapped him.
Oh, okay.
I tapped him with the skill on the Omega Shenron.
That's what it was. Okay, I was so confused. I was like, what did I miss? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I would have. Yeah, there's the game.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I think afterwards, Fluff, you had mentioned, like, even if somehow you were right here, if you were able to survive it, he was just going to tap 6 and play
one of each. I would have played another 7 dragons here. I mean,
that's so insane. I didn't even know that existed. And so when I heard that, I was like, wow. It was a combination of, if you had not locked me down for those turns, the game would have been so much different, because I would have to take 4 life to awaken, be down to 3 life, and I genuinely thought that saved you. Like the 4 drops, like those pressed me so hard, it gave you a really nice cushion,
Those 4 drops in Shenrons are relevant in every game. Like I've had games where the 4 drop doesn't survive long enough to play out the 9 drop, so I never get into the 9 drop, but I'm able to recurrently play those 4 drops after tapping the leader down. So it's at least every other turn that the opponent doesn't get their swing with their leader, if not every turn, depending on how many super combos I can find. And that is so relevant. Like there's an aggro version of Syn Shenron, and I just can't bring myself to play it because it doesn't play the 4 drops. It doesn't play the 4 drops in Shenron. And I'm like, this deck loses so much value by not being able to lock the leader.
Yeah, it changes a whole lot. Like it really hurts like quite a bit of aggro decks.
Yeah.
So
it's really good.
So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. If you want to see the aggro version that I think Fluff mentioned in his profile of the Syn Shenron, he'll do it. Just let us know.
Yep. We'll do it.
But let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. Austin, got any last words?
No, just that this was a really great game, and I was literally brain dead after it.
And Fluff, would you lead us out?
Yeah, I'm interested to see Austin grow as a player. I'm really excited that you finally, and not that this is news, but I'm excited to see you playing other things. And I think a lot of the things that you're struggling with in the game, I'm really excited that I think set 12 may fix a lot of or set 13 may fix a lot of those, especially as it evolves to moving forward. So I'm excited to have you. I hope you stick around. I hope we love having you. It's always fun to play against you. You've got like a great, enthusiastic, positive energy, and it's just cool to have around.
Oh, thank you.
So that was enough of my kissing ass. As always, read your cards and know your plays. Bluff out.